have the words to say, but now they're gone. Left me sinking. Your steel frame smile that lines my mind, it fades to gray. You're just an apparition.
Hi, this is Brad Wiseman on In the Sport with Chad Ackerman, senior staff writer and pretty much our senior media guy. Before we even really jump into the subject we're going to touch on, I think there was a few things you noticed from previous footage from the past that you wanted to correct.
Yes, first of all, I apologize to Louisiana State University. You were one of the 6 national champions of the last 6 years for the SEC. Sorry, Georgia Bulldogs. Mark Richt, you had a great program down there, but you have not finished the deal yet. Good luck this year. You are a top 5 team. Also wanted to let you know that I do know the ASU's quarterback's name is Taylor Kelly, and he has done a fabulous job as well. There's a couple of things I noticed. I don't like to make too many mistakes, and I apologize to you out there, and I apologize to LSU.
So it's nice that we've got a guy that we've hired that expresses humility, whatever. So anyways, what we're going to talk about this time has nothing to do with pro sports or prolific collegiate athletes. We're going to take a few steps back and talk a little bit about high school, because there's a lot of people in high school that do things that are unnoticed. In fact, not to make myself sound special, but I wrote an article a while back called Invisible Athletes. These are the guys that did a lot of cool things back in the day that they probably weren't going to be D1, but they did some pretty cool things. So I'm going to talk real quickly about a few people I remember, and the names to everyone out there are meaningless, but the accomplishments back then, they meant something. Certainly to me they did. And so I'm going to go through a series of sports and one athlete per sport that I remember, and talk a little bit about each one of these people. The first sport I will talk about is high school football. I wrote an article about a guy named Tom Philbin, but I'm going to talk about the quarterback back then. His name was Lars Shodin. Just like you would imagine, he had the cool name, cool-looking dude, and had an arm like a cannon. He had that snap at his wrist, like you see with a lot of Division I quarterbacks, already doing this at a very early age. He was fast. He was about 6 foot. He was real thin, and literally he was the guy who threw passes that broke people's fingers. Granted, we didn't have a wonderful team. We didn't play in this massively competitive conference. So, you know, in our little world, he was really, really good. And ultimately, he did play college football for, I believe, a small school in Chicago, St. Xavier. And if you look up online, you can see that Lars, I don't know if he broke some records or started some, but he did some good things while he was there. As I shift away from football and I look at basketball, I'm going to talk about a guy that everybody knew back in the day, Adam Carl. Adam Carl was a guy I grew up with. He's one of my closest friends. And Adam was, I believe, about, I don't know, let's say all of 5'10", you know, maybe a little taller. His father was a collegiate basketball player for DePaul University, and at the time when his dad played back in the day, in the 60s, his dad had scored the most points in a game at Alumni Hall, where DePaul used to play, at 41 points in a game. I think that was 41. Anyways, Adam was the point guard at Glenbrook North. He later on went to play at, he started off at Illinois State. He wasn't happy there for whatever reason. He transferred to Bradley University, where he was a star in the season he played. I think Adam averaged somewhere between 12 and 14 points a game that year. And then a new coach came in, and Adam knew that he had to make some changes in his basketball career at the collegiate level, and he went to Wisconsin. He rode the bench, but every so often they'd bring him in, and when they brought him in, he could nail a couple three-pointers, make a few nice passes, and this 5'9", whatever, 5'10", whatever he was, not only was he lightning fast, he was the kid who threw passes that were so fast, it would hit the other guy in the face, because they weren't ready. They were coming that fast. And so, and today, Adam Carl, recently at 41 years old, made the Maccabian team. He will be playing, I believe the Maccabians are playing in Israel or somewhere interesting like that, right? Good job, Adam. Now I'm going to shift to soccer. A player that not many people have talked about, but I think was one of the best players out there, was a guy named Scotty Luke. Scotty was, he looked like an altar boy. You know, he had that blonde hair, well-behaved, quiet young man. In the meantime, I remember seeing him one time in a soccer field dribbling the ball. It must have been 400 times. He just sat there, tap, 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 all day. Always in the right place, right time, right speed, kicking to the right person. I never seen anything truly. If there's a word called mistakeless, I don't know. I mean, if there is, that's what Scotty Luke was. Probably not. Mistakeless? Do you have the dictionary or no?
I don't believe that's a word, but I like it anyway.
Okay.
We'll go with it.
He's mistakeless.
I mistakelessly work with Brad. No, I'm only kidding. No, it's fantastic. I like that word, actually. Go ahead.
That was funny. That was good, actually. That was funny. So anyways, Scotty Luke later on left the high school scene. I don't know if he played college. I believe he went to maybe, for some reason I think he went to Purdue or one of those schools. Ultimately, he became a doctor. He was living out in Texas, somewhere in Austin, and he might be living somewhere else now, but accomplished guy. My favorite thing about Scotty Luke was I was at a bar with him when I was in my late 20s. I don't drink. And actually, Scotty doesn't either, but I didn't know that back then. He went to the bar and with a straight face ordered a White Lightning, a glass of milk. That's something I always remembered. He wasn't joking at all. Last sport I want to talk about is baseball. When I think about baseball, we had a lot of really good players. One guy that I think pretty much could have played any position, I'm going to go with Josh Bullhagen. Josh pitched. I think Josh could have been a great catcher. He could have been a great outfielder. He could have been a great infielder. He could have been a good anything on the field. Josh was throwing, collegiate curveballs when he was 13. I mean, probably too early back in the day, and I'm sure it did some damage to the interior of his arm and rotator cuff, but he had a curveball that literally people showed up at the game at Little League like it was a real game, like a major league, to watch Josh Bullhagen throw a curveball. I mean, the ball had an arc. I never batted against him, but I remember watching him pitch and just going, oh my God, look at the movement on that ball. And he's only, he was like 11 or 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. Josh also went on to play college ball. Initially, he was getting recruited by, I think, some pretty major programs. But ultimately, I think the school that he wanted to go to, for some reason it sticks in my head, is Stetson, which is in Florida. But he ended up playing at St. Xavier, where Lars played football. And Josh was a stud there. I mean, he was definitely a good pitcher. I followed his career a little bit by reading what I could at the time, just stuff in the back of the paper. But Josh today is I believe he does technical recruiting. He's a successful guy, good guy, and this is Brad Wiseman and Chad Ackerman on In the Sport. Thanks again for being with us. We're having fun with this. Hope you guys are enjoying the video content that's being pushed out to the masses. We've been getting some pretty good feedback. Have a great day, right?
Yeah, we may actually decide to write something down and actually present you with a formal presentation instead of just sitting here and talking.
Yeah. Here's the great thing. None of this is scripted, guys. This is two guys just talking off the cuff. It's not always perfect, but it's real. I mean, there's nothing coming out of our mouths that's being manufactured. It's just conversation and it's fun. So have a great day.